Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. That means we have NXT Roadblock here, folks. As you know, WrestleMania season is almost around the corner. So, what we're going to see in this particular day, we're going to see the NXT Tag Team titles defended against, of course, I don't know if you can call them the Wolf Dogs, against guys from Chase U. We even have the WWE Women's Tag Team titles also defended. So that's going to be a very interesting match. But the main event features is the number one contender who will face Ilya Dragunov at Stand and Deliver. So who will walk out? Will it be Carmelo Hayes or the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo? Well, we'll see what happens. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing some much recent events from last month, mostly coming from the Joshi promotions. The first one is none other than Evolution Girls with Volume 11. Now, I haven't reviewed Volume 1 through 4. I haven't seen 5 through 10 at all, but that's another conversation for another time. Then we also have a marvelous, much recent show in Shin-Kiba that took place on the 27th of February. And then, of course, Stardom with their much recent event that took place last Friday in Kanazawa. So that's going to be very interesting to review. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates to tell you guys what's going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, more info on the WrestleCon shows, and of course, some developments that we are going to be talking about in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real timing news updates in case we hear something that has been declared as breaking news. You guys will be the first to hear it. We also do the Unaga Sayaka Watch and various other things on this channel as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside. So let's begin with our very first review, and this is from the Joshi promotion, Evolution Girls, Volume 11. All right. Well, I have to say this is the first time I do this review on this channel. Now, I was planning to do a review on the special episode with volumes 1 through 4 with Evolution Girls. Now, I will give you guys a bit of a rundown who these girls are. Evolution Girls are, in fact, it started out as a project to be part of All Japan Pro Wrestling. It's run by talent from, Suwama, who is still currently part of the roster, but it's also produced by Shuji Ishikawa, who recently, in fact, left the promotion, now declared himself as the, how to say, the GM of Evolution Girls, and his plans are to recruit more girls and also to go to war against or Stardom to see if they can surpass them. I know some of you Stardom fans will probably say there is no way it's going to happen. Well, you may never know. However, what do I think about these? However, it started out with three girls in this particular promotion. First, it was Sunny. She's a bit of the high speedster of the group. Unfortunately, last year she had to she got injured, but her injury in fact made things worse that prevented her to continue wrestling. So she retired from in ring, but she decided to remain as a staff helper, and now officially she is a ref of the group. That way, she's still close by to her teammates. Then we have, of course, the newest girl who came around, Soy. She's a bit of a powerhouse in this particular group. Not much about her. She just been. I think this is her either her second or third match she's already been through so far. But no doubt we'll get to know her more. Then we have Zones, who's also a powerhouse. I mean, she's fantastic. We know she can pick up wins. She has been wrestling outside of Evolutions. I mean, she appeared in Sendai's, Marvelous, Oz Academy, um, she even teams up mostly with Hiroyo Matsumoto, who is much like her. They're both powerhouses, so it's a great. And then there's Chi Chi, who is in fact the prospect of the group. She's a bit of a Barbie girl, but don't let that fool you, man. She is fantastic. Many people believe that she will have a higher future in pro wrestling. I know all eyes are on her. She even appeared in New Blood. I forgot who she was facing, but it was great. So let's get started with all the matches now. First match is a bit of a men's exhibition match. We do have Black Menstory. He teams up with Shuji Ichikawa. They take on Sushi and Kohi Saito or Sato. Yeah, so the match was okay. But on a note here, Sunny was making her referee debut in this particular show. So what do I? First things first, I want to get that out of the way. How did Sunny did as a ref? I mean, she did okay. I mean, it's not perfect, but she's getting the hang of it. Act, she actually did a pretty good job, but I know she'll get better at it as a ref. So just putting that out there. As for that match, well, of course, um, Shuji and Black Mansuri are very tight. I'm sure that their teamwork will be the decisive how to say efficiency that would help them win. And of course, that's exactly what happened because Black Mansuri was the one that picked up the win when he pinned us Sushi, and that was pretty much it. So yeah. So if you expect there's going to be a men's expedition, yes. Shuji Chikawa did mention that he will be wrestling on the show. It's kind of like what we're seeing with Marvelous. Marvelous do have men's wrestling only one match, kind of like what we see with Thunder Rosa's promotion, Mission Pro Wrestling. We see that too. So yes. Now, in between after this match, there was a performance from a group called Royal White. I'm going to presume they're an idol group. Um, I don't know the name of the songs. I might or may not have heard of this group before, but they did a pretty good job trying to keep them entertained because they were preparing for the ladies to take the center stage. So let's jump into that. Our first match, we have Soy. She takes on Kaho Kobayashi. Now, I have to say, Kobayashi, I am a fan of her. Not to mention her time in Mexico is fantastic. She even did one of those bodybuilding fitness when she made her return to wrestling because she was on hiatus. But I have to say there was a lot of powerhouse type in this particular match. But unfortunately, it was Kobayashi who picked up the win when she applied a missile dropkick to Soy and then picked up the win. So Soy hasn't picked up a win yet. Um, so yeah. Our next match, we have Zones. She takes on Tomoka Inaba. This is a very interesting dynamic. Now, I did mention this. Zones is a powerhouse girl, so basically her power will be the decisive factor in her style. However, she's facing Tomoka Inaba, who has a bit of the karate background, so that is something that we could definitely see applied. But the real question is, will her karate style be the efficiency that would help her win? Well, it kind of did because It took only one shot, one kick to take down Zones, and that's exactly what Tomoka Inaba did. Now, our next match, we have Chi Chi. She takes on the Queen of Hardcore, Dash Hashisako. Now, of course, this was not a hardcore match, but Dash has been known to take her opponents outside the ring and try to soften them up as possible, and Chi Chi has to deal with that. I mean, she dealt with that with what's their name, with Ozaki Gun when they were in their turf and all this and that. But it was Dash with the frog splash that allowed her to win the match. Now, on a note here, I did mention Sunny was refereeing. However, I would have assumed that Sunny will be refereeing the entirety of the show. No, the majority of her friends of Soy, Sones, and Chi Chi, Black Mensuri, in fact, was refereeing. It's not the first time he's done it. He has done refereeing matches for these ladies since day one. So it's great that he did it. But I wish they could have given her another match involving the girls. I mean, I would have preferred if she would have either given the chance to be referee either for Zone's match or Chi Chi's match. But also on another note here, don't forget their anniversary show is this month. But this one is a special one because Zones and Chi Chi, who've been part of this group, this promotion since day one, are gonna face each other. So the real question is, who will be walking out on the anniversary show? Well, that's a good one. I'm definitely gonna be in it, but I'm not sure if I heard this correctly. Sunny will be actually refereeing this match, so I say this is a good, perfect test for her because even though Sunny has retired doing in-ring performance, this is going to be a deciding factor. So we'll see how that rolls up. But for right now, let's move on with our next review, and I believe that is Marvelous. Okay, Marvelous in Shin-Kiba. This took place on the 27th of February. First things first, we started out with an 8-woman tag team elimination match. Now, I kind of got lost in the middle of the entire elimination, but I can tell you who eliminated first and who was eliminated last. But let's talk about who's involved in this match. First, we have Maya Yukihi, Isuki Aoki, and of course, the current AAW Tag Team Champions, Magenta, Riko Kawahara, and Maria. They take on Unagi Sayaka, Miyuki Takase, Miyu Momono, and Tomoko Watanabe. Now, it's interesting to see both Unagi and Miyu Momono in the same team. Reasons is Miyu Momono doesn't like Unagi because A, she invaded her turf, and B, she's an outsider. That's that she treats her like an outsider. That's always the case. But however, Miyu Momono is willing to put that to the side in order to win. Now, I did not see the how I kind of got lost in the shuffle who got eliminated, but I did see who got eliminated first. Riko Kawahara pinned Watanabe, and that was a bit of surprising to me. I was like, "What the hell, that quick?" But nonetheless, that's what happened. But at some point at the end, I didn't. At some point, I missed out how each of who was eliminated. I kind of got lost in the shuffle. My brain was like, okay, how did that happen? But I can tell you how this ended. It was between both Miyu Momono and Riko Kawahara. Now, Riko, in my opinion, is one of the most impressive wrestlers I've seen so far because she has shown what she can do in the ring. Not to mention, we all know about her side demon. We're talking about the great Sakuya. So, yes. So, I thought this was going to be an interesting ending, but however, Miyu Momono picked up the win when she pinned Riko Kawahara. It was very interesting. I know Miyu Momono is doing everything her can to um, win back the AAW championship that was taken from her by Mayu Osaki, but we'll see where this leads to. Now, our next match is a men's exhibition match. well, you don't call it an exhibition, but it's the men's taking the stage on this one. We have the only male resident of Marvelous, Leo Azaka. He takes on Dragon Libre. Yeah, I've seen Dragon Libre before. I've seen him on shows with Pro Wrestling Freedoms, another promotion that gets involved in death matches. So yeah, I have to say it was a pretty good match. Not gonna lie. I mean, Leo is very impressive. He's like the true star in the well, he's the only male star in the promotion. Just put it out there. But he was impressive when he applied the moonsault onto Dragon Libre and pick up the win. Now, our next match is the second round matches of the Tag League for the AAW Tag Team titles. First match, we have Aya Housen, Sandy Gibbs takes on Ryo Mizumori and Sonoko Kato. Now, last time when I reviewed Marvelous, AOI Housen and Sadie Gibbs were amazing. They picked up a good win. So I'm not gonna lie. But of course, we saw that infamous jump out of the cartwheel out of the ring that Sadie Gibbs is well known. If you guys ever remember, this video there was this video that went viral that caught the attention of Matt Jackson that kind of convinced himself to have Sadie Gibbs sign with AEW. But it was great that she did it again. But unfortunately, AI, who I know she has shown her strongness, her fighting spirit in the recent months, was unable to pick up the win when Ryo Mizumori applied a driver, and just like that, they lost. But Ryo Mizuma and Sonoko Kato picked up the win. I don't know what's next from here, but I'm sure they're going to be paying attention against on the next opponents. We're talking about Zones and Chi Chi. They take on, of course, um, Chikayo Naga. Hold on. Okay. What was it? Oh yeah, Zones and Chi Chi taking on Chikayo Nagashima and Takumi Iroha. Now, Zones and Chi Chi, we have seen them team up on various occasions outside of Evolution, but were they match against, of course, Takumi and Chikayo? Well, the answer to that was no, because it was Takumi Iroha who applied the running three onto Chi Chi and picked up the win, just like that. So I don't know where this leads. So does this means that the next round it will feature Ryu Mizumori and Sonaka Kato taking on Nagashima and Takumi Iroha? I don't know, but we'll see what happens in the next Marvelous show. But right now, let's move on with Stardom. Okay, Stardom in Kanazawa. This took place recently on March 2nd. Now, as you know, this is more of a prelude before we get to this coming weekend with some interesting matches, and not to mention the return of Natsupoi. That's for another conversation for another time. Now, our first match, we have a bit of a God's Eye showdown between Rana Yagami and, of course, Saki Kashima. Now, I'm sure everybody in God's Eye might have warned Yagami with the shenanigans or the smart ways of Kashima. We all seen how she is. She tries to play the smart one, try to avert whatever dangerous things like the strike kicks. Those are one of those things that she likes to avoid. But however, of course, Kashima would try to outsmart Yagami, which she did when she applied the Kishikase, and that was pretty much it from there. So yeah. Now, our next match, this is the first time we see them team up. Sayaka Kurara and Yuna Mizumori. Now, the interesting part of this, before we move on to this, Yuna Mizumori had Sayaka do the the Kozen dance, and of course, the president of Bushiroad, who took over as the booker and producer of the show, kind of helped Yuna Mizumori judge how the Kurara did in the dance. I have to say she did pretty good. Not the best, but pretty good. But they have to face against their opponents against Queen's Quest, Miyu Amasaki, and Sayaka Mitani. Now, one thing I did like is, of course, Many people often say, yes, Kurara is the weakest link. But however, we've seen Kurara over time how man those spears that she does really impress. I mean, she took out many wrestlers like um Starlight Kid, I forgot who else. But then the one person she did that to was against Hamasaki. But unfortunately, kind of like we would expect it, Kurara was the one who lost the match when she ended up in the Tensei by Amasaki to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have Oedo Tai consisting of Ruka, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, Natsuko Tora taking on stars Sayaida, Hanan, Koguma, and Azuki. Now, of course, we have seen these two teams face off time and time again, but however, that's not the real story. But one thing I did like about this match is how Momo uh, was on a one-on-one shambles with Hana. Now, many people who are big fans of Hana would have assumed, yes, she has improved a lot over the years. People call her the next ace of Stardom, which of course, it's something that we can all agree upon. She stood toe to toe until, of course, Momo applied the Hito Danashi driver, and that was pretty much it. Now, our next match, we have Mai Sakurai. She teams up with Mei Sira. They take on Queen's Quest Azumi and Utami Hayashida. Now, nothing too significant about this match. Now, of course, in this particular match, Utami Ishida along with Kamitani are the current Stardom, the Goddesses of Stardom Tag Team Champions. So basically, if they would have pinned her, they would have got an opportunity to tag titles. But however, of course, there was going to be some interesting moments. But unfortunately, Mai Sakurai ended up being double foot stomp by Azumi, allowing, of course, Queen's Quest to pick up this win. Now, our next match, we have a bit of an interesting 10-woman tag match. The first team is a mixture of members from God's Eye, consisting of Ami Sori, Mirai, and Shuri. They team up with Suzuki and Julia, taking on EXV, consistent of Hanako, Zena, Waka, Mina, and Maika. Now, don't forget, there's a lot of significant storylines. Now, Zena made it clear that is targeting Mirai because A, Mirai is a two-time winner of the Cinderella tournament from last year and the year before that. Xena has already made her mark saying that she's going to win the Cinderella tournament, but we'll see about that. And of course, Micah still has her not issues, but more like Julia is still the most popular one, despite the fact we know that she's pissed that the media are still talking about her because she's leaving um, the Stardom real soon. But nonetheless, we know that Micah would definitely want to have. Well, we know Zuzu will definitely want to have another shot of Micah, but this time she has the belt. And of course, we know that EXV has declared they want the trios, the artist belt. So that's something very interesting we know. But however, Waka even pissed off Sudi when she did the hip attacks on her, but she ended up being struck in the back. But it was Zuzu who ended up with the final blow with the tequila shot, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have the Cosmic Angels, consistent of Sayuri Inui and Tam Nakano, taking on stars Yuzuki and Mayu Iwatani. Now, it's no secret about the two leaders on the opposite side from each other, both Tam and Mayu, that, of course, it was Mayu who picked up and helped Tam after she was expelled from Otai. Now, as you know, Tam would love nothing more to beat Mayu, but however, this coming weekend, Tam is teaming with Mayu. But it seems things hasn't changed between those two. But however, the later focus is, of course, is Sarunoi versus Yuzuki. Now, Yuzuki has always been impressive since day one. But unfortunately, she did not pick up the win. She ended up in a Tendra by Sarunoi and picked up the win for the Cosmic Angels. So, and they did a little interesting promo between those two, and not to mention they called out Kurara and Yuna Mizumori. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen, of course, for this coming weekend from here on out. So I said it was a good show, but nonetheless. So let's move on with our final review, NXT Roadblock. Okay, NXT Roadblock. Now, as I said before, it's WrestleMania season, so we're getting closer and closer and closer to that. But for right now, let's begin with from start to finish. The first match we have a nice silent match. Well, this one is more of a cage match, but with all the plunder you can use to try to dismantle each other. We have Dijak versus Joe Gacy. Now, of course, Dijak, with his own brand of justice, he wants to prove a point. But when it comes to Joe Gacy, he refuses to stay down, no matter how many times Dijak tries to put him down. Of course, there was going to be a lot of dangerous weapons. Not to mention, Dijak pulled off a moonsault at the top of the damn cage. And then, of course, it took at least two feast your eyes to put Gazy away to pick up the win. But the obvious question does tell, where does he go from here? We'll find out. Now, as you know, the D'Angelo family are getting ready to prepare with Tony D actually facing Carmelo Hayes to be hopefully the guy to face Ilya Dragunov at Stand and Deliver. But, however, as business, they called in Luca Crucifino. So basically, um, the Don gave him an offer where he tells him that he likes him to be his castaneri. No questions asked and all this other stuff. And of course, Crucifino accepts the offer. So, seems now we're seeing that the D'Angelo family are now growing. So, I can't wait to see exactly the cut type of role Luca Crucifino will bring in to the D'Angelo family. Now, as you know, back in Valentine's Day, it was an awkward time between both Riley Osborne and, of course, De Hale. However, Family Henley is trying to reason with him over everything else. But apparently, Blair Davenport gets in people's business, thinks that she is right about certain things. So it led to those two to have a match a little later. So we'll get to that. Now, our next match, we have the NXT Tag Team Championships. Now, we do see the current champions Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. They take on Chase Hughes, Duke Hudson, and Andre Chase. Now, keep in mind these guys won a number one contendership before, and this is their opportunity. Now, you would think that this match was no way that the Chase U were definitely going to win it right away because I think people are behind Corbin and Breaker. But unfortunately, it was the spear by Breaker onto Andre Chase that allowed them to retain the belt. But however, at the post match, I don't know what happened with Thea Hale. She just left. It was kind of weird. I don't know if she was suffering a nervous breakdown. I don't know. Now, Kelly Kincaid went to talk to Carmelo Hayes to conduct an interview over, of course, the event's main event, and not to mention he talked about Dragunov. So we all know where he's going for, and not to mention he has his own private security because last week's security, well, they turned their backs on him. But yeah, so we'll see where that leads. Now, next match we have Sean Spears. I'm glad that he took back his name. He faces against Uriah Connors, who you guys may know him as Brogan Finley, the son of David Finley and brother to David Finley. So you would think this match would be a good introduction, but however, this match ended with Spears applying the C4, and it was over. However, during the post match, uh, Spears continued once again with his promo, calling Rich Holland, the guy he attacked a week ago, calling him that all the things that come out of your mouth is a load of horse crap. And of course, Rich Holland showed up and whacked him with the chair. However, security tried to stop him, but Sean Spears told him to let him hurt him. But for some odd reason, he hesitated. The obvious question does tell: was Sean Spears right about Rich Holland? Is he lying to himself? Well, later on, he did talk to Kelly and ask about that. He has no doubt that Rich Holland would definitely want a match against him next week. So that is something we definitely could see. Now, as you know, last week we did see Brooks Jensen had a little chat with Obafemi, saying that he wants to have a match against him. But however, Josh Briggs, out of some odd reason, decided to talk to him, concerned over the fact that he's going up against a much stronger guy. But I think Briggs must have given him the worst advice ever. He did tell him to grow some balls, and that's exactly what he did. Even though Briggs knows what happened between them could never be repaired, but for him to say something like that, I think he felt that he made the biggest mistake of trying to say the kind of person he should have been. But of course, Dijak, he told Briggs in a way like saying he's a lost cause. So he is now concerned that Obafemi will kill Briggs and will kill Jensen next week. So we'll see about that, how that rolls up. Now, as you know, Ilya Dragunov gave his thoughts about tonight's event, but he also talked about last week that he saw the kind of person that Tony D'Angelo is, so he respects the kind of man that he is. And of course, certain things, the D'Angelo family are confident enough to believe that Tony D'Angelo will walk out as the winner. And I'm sure Ilya Dragunov has no doubt that maybe that could happen. So we'll see. Now, our next match is the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. We have Tatum Paxley and Lyra Kira taking on the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. No doubt in my mind it was going to be a pretty impressive match, but I'm happy to see the Kabuki Warriors being in the match. But of course, this match was going to end with the Kabuki Warriors retaining the belt because it was an insane elbow drop by Kyrie onto Tatum Paxley that allowed them to win. But however, during the post match, out of nowhere, Roxanne Perez attacked Leo Valkyria. Like, she completely lost her mind, completely attacking her. Now, she has been growing frustration because Roxanne always said this: I never got pinned, I never got submitted. So she felt that that title should not have been lost out of her hand. And then she broke her arm. And it's kind of insane they even drove her. But the obvious question to me: what's going to happen? Like, what kind of repercussions is Roxanne going to take place? But the real question does tell: what's going to happen with Lyra Valkyria? Will she have to relinquish her belt, or what's going to happen? We'll just have to wait and see from here on out. Now, our next match, we have Fallon Henley taking on Blair Davenport. Now, it's no secret that Blair Davenport had made enemies left and right, up and down, side to side, wherever she goes. But Fallon was not afraid to, back down to give, of course, Blair Davenport an ass whooping. That's exactly what she did. However, don't forget, Blair Davenport had faced enemies who came back for revenge. The first one was none other than Nikita Lyons. But this time, Sol Ruka came back and took her out. And then, of course, when that happened, it was Fallon Henley who picked up the win. So, what a proper way for a payback. Now, Chase U, as you know, felt disappointing that they did not win the tag titles. Of course, Jay-Z did say that it was expected, but nonetheless, that's what it was. So, however, Thehel showed up and she said that she put herself in a tag team match next week against Izzy Dane and Kiana James. However, she wanted Jay-Z to meet her tag partner, but Jay-Z James said she's busy next week. So that kind of leaves Thehel out on her own. But I can think of two people that would team up with her next week. The first one, I just mentioned her, Fallon Henley. Well, don't forget there is some history between her and Kiana James. But I think the person who should team up with her is the one person where, of course, Izzy and Kiana who humiliated last time, and that would be Kalani Jordan. To me, I feel that would be her tag team partner next week, and I think it will be a perfect choice. So we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, Ava Reigns, as you know, has been, of course, trying to deal with situations the entirety of since becoming GM. She was talking to Gigi Dolan. Apparently, she's been trying to get her hands on Ariana James, but Ariana James, who's playing the pacifist of the whole thing, she agreed that she'll be her partner next week, but if they win, she has to let go of this, which is kind of bizarre. So she's bringing that pacifist type style, but only the inner beauty. Gigi Dolan's not about that, so we'll see. Now, as you know, we have a brand new crowned NXT Heritage Cup champion, and that is Charlie Dempsey. However, they received a surprise visit from Charlie Dempsey, and of course, the fans were saying, "That's your daddy." So William Regal, we all know much about his history. We all know that he has had Heritage Cup style wrestling in his past. However, his son goes out of his way and tells him that he will defend the title better than him. So I'm sure, of course, William Regal, he'll keep a close eye on his son. That is something we could definitely see. Now, speaking of the Heritage Cup, former champion Noam Dar, he looks like he was depressed. So, of course, metaphor, we're looking for him. Luckily, Lash Legend and, of course, um, Ora Menza found him. So, however, it seems that he was thinking about, okay, I lost the Heritage Cup. What's next? So he said he has bigger plans. Now, if I was Noam Dar, I would say I would think of two possibilities. One, team up with Ora Mensa, hopefully to obtain tag team gold, which of course is something that he will want. Or two, Ora Mensa goes either the North American title or the NXT title. I don't know. We'll just wait and see. Now, last week we saw Lexis King, being a sore loser, said some negative comments towards Mr. Stone's son. However, Von Wagner's concerned for him, knowing that he's going up against a guy. But Mr. Stone feels like this man had no right to insult him or about his sons. We'll see what happens that. Now, our main event is the number one contendership between both Tony D'Angelo and Carmelo Hayes. Now, we know that Carmelo Hayes is trying to get back at the top of the food chain by winning the NXT title. But however, Tony D'Angelo feels like, hey, you're trying to cut the line by demanding it. You have to earn it. And of course, this is what led Dragunov to agree. Let the person earn a spot to face you at Stand and Deliver. And of course, Dragunov agreed to that. Now, you would think that, of course, Carmelo Hayes would definitely try to overcome D'Angelo, but don't count out D'Angelo because we did see that there was the entrance team to Trick Williams. Melo's personal security were ready for him, but it was all a ploy by Tony D'Angelo, and then he applied Can't Forget About It, and then it was over. However, in the post match, Tony D'Angelo apologized to the fans because they were hyped up that Trick Williams was back. Well, second time, this time he did, and Trick Williams got a little bit of payback for what Carmelo Hayes did to him, and not to mention gave his security guards a big ass whoop ass. So we'll see what happens next week. I'm sure Melo did not expect him to return, but he's back. So let's see what revenge is in store for him and for what Trick Williams is going to do. And I think that's pretty much it with all reviews. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's get started. Now, we have two updates from Pro Wrestling Noah with two big events taking place. One for this month called Limit Break. It's back. This will take place on March 20th in Yokohama. And then a month later, on April Fool's Day, we have Monday Magic. Well, it's back for a second season. And once again, they'll have their show. I think they'll have their show in Shinjuku Face. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, GCW, as you know, this weekend we have the Ashes to Ashes. It was announced that we're going to have an AC strap match between Effie and Mance Warner. So this rivalry between two former friends, brothers at arms, continues on. So we'll see what happens until then. Kitsune Women's Wrestling has announced a match for their Kampai show on the 24th of March We have Hyan versus Lady Apache. Uh, Once again, for as you know, we are almost close to the Philly shows for WrestleMania week. Spark Yoshi Puroresu of America for their Trailblaze show on the 17th of course of April. They announced Aja Kong will be there. I don't know if she ever appeared. That's the thing. I don't know, but yes, Aja Kong has been announced. West Coast Pro has announced a brand new show for April called no for May, my bad. For May, called For the Coast. This will take place on the 18th of May. No announcement just been made who's going to participate. I'm sure many of us are anxious to hear about it. Now, as you know, there is a promotion down in Australia called West Wrestling World World Series Wrestling. They announced for their Most Wanted tour that's going to be happening. Now, this will take place 4 days in Australia. First, it's going to be on the 28th of June in Brisbane, then the 29th of June in Melbourne, then June 30th in Sydney, and then July 1st in Adelaide. Hopefully, I pronounced it right. If not, then yes. However, they announced who's going to participate in this tour. We have, of course, the Meneth brothers taking place. Ryan Meneth and his brother Nick, they're both going to be there. We have Shigehiro Irie will be there. Ash by Elegance, better formerly known as Dana Brooks, will be there. The Machine Brian Cage, Alex Hammerstone, Elijah, formerly known as Elias, Lena Cross, Matt Cardona, Steph Delander, and TJP. So those are the guys who will participate in this tour. And then finally, we have of course, the working relationship between Oceania Pro Wrestling, the promotion based out of Australia. They will be having a co show with MLW uh, in between the 30th of August to September 1st in the city of Bellart. So no announcement who's going to be participating, but I'm sure we're all going to find out soon enough. So that's pretty much it. Now let's move on with some updates with the WrestleCon. They announced two Japanese sensations will be there, legends in their own right. We have the Buzzsaw, Tajiri will be there, yes. So if you guys are a fan of Tajiri, if you guys are going to go to Philly for WrestleMania weekend and attend WrestleCon, now you know, but he's not the only one going to be there. We have Onatsushi Onita will be there. Sushi Onita will be there as well. So if you guys know who he is, he's the guy who runs that promotion, FMW. So he'll be there too. Now for some interesting developments. Hold on a second. Bueno. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Bye. Bye. Sorry about that. Anyway, as you know, for recent developments, as you know, Sting has officially retired. However, a lot of questions have been answered about the match, and Sting did an interview with Sports Illustrator about his match, about whose idea was it to have a match with the Young Bucks. And let me pull that up. Yes, it's right here. So this is what he said. First of all, I respect them for who they are behind the scenes. Matt and Nick are a couple of great guys and they're great wrestlers. Whose choice was it? It was mine. Matt and Nick, they deserve everything good that's coming at them. I didn't want to do this last hoorah with anyone else. I've watched how they conduct themselves, and I don't care what anybody says or rumors they might be out there. They are the top notch and as possibly can be. I don't see any flaws in these guys in the ring. Their ability to make everyone better. And not just themselves. It's not something many do. They are considered AEW as a whole and what's best for their opponents. I have so much respect for these guys. So yes, the idea of to have the Young Bucks to be his final opponents in that tag match was his. So he respects them for that. So I have to say, what a proper way to have him do that. Now, interesting developments for this weekend in Stardom. As I mentioned before in the review with Stardom, I talked about Natsupoi makes her return this coming weekend. However, Natsupoi teams up with her tag partner Sayuri Nui. They take on uh, Sari, formerly known as in NXT Saray, and she teams up with Chihiro Hashimoto. However, it was later revealed by Tokyo Sports that she was the one who requested to have Sari to be in her return match. And it was noted that back in what was it, on January 4th, Natsupoi came back from her January 4th, 2020. She came back from an injury, and her return match in Tokyo Joshi Pro, her opponent that she had to face was none other than Sari. So everything comes back to full circle. Now, some of you may question, okay, if she had her be her opponent in her return match back in 2020, why she's asking her now? Those who do know, you guys know what I'm talking about. But those who don't know, I'll explain. In real life, Suri and Natsupoi are real life BFFs, so they're best friends. So when Suri went to the U.S., it was told that Natsupoi remained in contact with Suri and all that. And people thought when Suri left WWE that she was coming to Stardom due to her connection with Natsupoi. I mean, that's one of those things where people like to not draw the line, but more like conduct their own conclusion. But having her be her return opponent, I have to say, what a great choice. Now, this was reported recently throughout every social media. I heard it first from FIFO Select. You may have heard that Sammy Guevara is suspended. Now, this resulted into the injury of Jeff Hardy when he applied his finisher move. Apparently, Jeff Hardy suffered a concussion. Um, there was a lot of mixed reactions towards this from what I'm hearing. Some people say that some people took it the wrong way. I mean, we've seen this type of things. Like, for example, let's use this as an example. November of 2022 will be remembered. I think it was November 4th. Yeah, November 4th. Who could forget about what happened to Mina Shirakawa? Remember, Mina Shirakawa got injured because Sayaka Mitani botched up the Phoenix Splash not once but twice, and a lot of people were threatening her, trying to say all these things about her. But of course, Mina took it like a champ and told them, "Look, we're professional wrestlers. Of course, this is gonna happen. So we need to consider ourselves. Was this intentional or was this an accident?" That's the thing that I feel people are not, in fact, looking. I mean, I'm sure Sammy would say that he did not think this was going to happen. I don't know. But we will see what the actual story is at some point. So I think that's pretty much it right now with everything on this episode. I believe it's time to call it a day. Okay. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, don't forget we have AEW Dynamite. We entered the fallout after Revolution, so I think many of us are curious to see what's going to happen now. Now, we do know that we do have a brand new international champion. Um, the tag team titles are vacant. We still have our women's champion still retain her belt. Same thing with the world championship. And of course, we're going to see a lot of things taking place. However, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to put before then, but I'll just wing it for all of you. We'll just see what happens. But we'll go from there. So, right now, I think that's pretty much it what we're going to do. I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.